evening, folks. How is everyone this evening? I'm Patty here again with another Facebook Live yoga session. Thank you so much for joining me. My feline friend is here on the mat. Posted earlier, trying something new with a wireless mic. Hopefully cuts out some background noise and you can hear me a little better. So, as posted earlier, thumbs up or thumbs down on the sound. Thank all of you for joining me this evening, and I will give our friends a few minutes to log in, get settled in, move my cat off the mat this evening. I'll wait another minute or so. Maybe some friends are joining us. Just want to make sure everyone can hear. I know last week I had a couple comments about sound, so hopefully that's not on me, but I'll try and keep an eye on the chat and see if anything pops up saying, I can't hear. Do let me know. But before we get started, this is my friend Sherman. He usually joins us each week on the mat for a little while. I am Patty. Most of you know me. Welcome again to a Thursday evening session. Thank all of you for being here. This will be a nice beginner to intermediate class this evening. I'll offer plenty of modifications, different ways to hold poses, and if ever you feel you need to come out of a pose, you can hop on down to your child's pose. Just come into a comfortable seated position if that works for you. Just be gracious, be mindful, listen to your body, and enjoy your practice. This is your night, this is your yoga flow. Do what suits you this evening. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. We are going to come onto our back and hug our knees in for Panasana. So come all the way down on our back, hugging our knees in. We're going to be here for another minute or so. Hopefully the cat is not blocking the view that you can see me. This is very similar to child's pose, but we're on our backs, still tucking in, stretching our spine. Just setting your intention for the evening, setting aside some time for yourself, seeing what has brought you to the mat this evening. You can gently roll from side to side, ever so slight moves, gently massaging the small of your back. Maybe reverse, spin your legs gently to the other side. Just giving your low back some attention. Nice little massage. I've mentioned this before. If you have a yoga ball or a tennis ball, some folks like that extra massage on the low back. Others think it's a little too intense. Go ahead and come to stillness. Your arms are still wrapped around your legs. Taking a few deep breaths, filling up your lungs, expanding, and letting it all out. Another big inhale in, and let it all out. And the next inhale, we're going to come into legs up the wall. If you have a strap, you certainly can use a strap on your legs. If not, legs are extended up towards the sky, towards your ceiling. Feet are flexed. Nice extension through your heels. Maybe gently roll out your ankles side to side, point and flex your feet. Just giving some movement into your ankles here. And now with control, we're going to lower our legs down to the right. Don't worry, we're not coming back up for some crazy ab work. Your legs are coming to the right. Your arms are extending overhead and you're leaning. This is the banana pose. So you're in a slight C position or a banana position. Nice stretch through the left side of your body. Go ahead and raise your legs back up to the sky, assisting them if you need to with your hands or using some of that core. Pausing briefly, legs up the wall before we lower down. Legs come to the left, arms reach out overhead. We stretch into banana pose. Extending and stretching our right side bodies. Go ahead and lift your legs back up, tall to center, legs up the wall. Pausing here just a moment, and then we're going to do a straddle leg lift. So your legs are going to fall out open into a V. If you need more support, you can hold your legs up, sort of propping them up with a kickstand on your arms. Or if you want more of a stretch, allow your hands to gently rest on the inside of your thighs. You're not pressing down, reaming your legs towards the ground. You're allowing them to fall open into a V, getting a nice deep stretch here. And if this gets to be too intense, again, use your hands for a kickstand here. Prop your legs up just a little bit. Now guide your legs back to center to close. Legs up the wall. One more time. Just for a moment. Go ahead and lower your feet to the ground. Knees are bent, remaining on your back. We're just going to come up into a small bridge pose. We'll visit this pose again this evening. So forearms can be into the ground, hands can be bright and active as you push up through your thighs, letting your legs do the work. Not clenching those glutes, really using the legs. Go ahead and lower back down, pausing here, taking a little breath, and bridge one more time. Hips lift up, bright, active thighs. Shoulders are drawn back. Good. Go ahead and lower back down. Bring it in for a hug here, Uttanasana. Gently rocking side to side. Giving that back a little bit of massage here. And slowly, if you need to hook your hands behind your thighs, we're going to add some rocking momentum front to back so we can make our way on up onto our feet. If rocking is too much, simply come on up to your forward fold. Go ahead and rise on up to mountain pose. Arms are up overhead. And lower your arms. We're going to do another reach up to mountain. Go ahead and hook your left wrist with your right fingers and ever so slightly guide your left arm over to the right, giving ourselves a nice big stretch here again. And release back to center. Big stretch, slight look up to the sky. Gently grab your right arm and stretch on over to the left. Good. Go ahead and release. We're going to do a little more twists here. We're going to come into eagle pose. We're going to root our left leg nice and strong into the earth. Right leg will wrap around and sort of hook on the other side. Left arm comes under right. I'll show you in a minute the arms. Slightly at shoulder level as that right leg hooks around and you sink ever so slightly for eagle pose. Go ahead and release. We're going to take that on the other side. Right leg strong and steady. Left leg comes over top. Right arm under. Arms are at shoulder level. We sink ever so slightly into that right leg as your core helps lift you up strong and steady, helps with balance, offering some resistance between the legs. And go ahead and release. Next, we're going to take standing big toe stretch. If this is too much for you, I'll show you two different ways. We're going to start with our left leg planted on the ground. Right knee rises up, gently out to the side. This is one method. If you have the movement and flexibility, you can take your peace fingers, wrap around your big toe, Extend out and straight and to the side. So 2 options to take your standing big toe stretch. Both are going to work balance and core. Good. Come back to center and gently release. Plant your right leg strong and steady. Left knee, remember, can gently just come out to the side. Or we can wrap your peace fingers around your big toe. Kick straight out and to the side. So standing big toe stretch on the other side. A few breaths here. Working your stability, your balance, core. Everything gets a workout tonight. Go ahead, release. Good. We're going to take chair. We're going to do a couple options today, variations and methods. If any of the twisting is too much or the power chairs are too much, just sink back into chair. That's okay. We're going to just start with our basic chair. Arms reach up overhead, legs are together, feet, ankles tight, and sink into that seat. Hands are going to come to prayer position towards heart center. We're going to take our right elbow and hook it towards our left thigh for a chair twist. Go ahead and release back to center. Arms are up overhead. We're still in our chair position. Hands come back down to heart center and twist to the other side. Left elbow to the outside of your right thigh or knee. Good. Go ahead and release back to center. One more chair here and release. We're going to take an elevated chair. One option here. Arms come up overhead. We're going to set up the same, sinking into our chair position. This time, we're going to come up onto our tippy toes. And you'll find you're going to hinge ever so slightly forward. Good. Go ahead and release. We're going to arms up into mountain pose. Come down into forward fold. We're going to take gorilla. The palms of our hands are going to face up, and we're going to stand on our hands, so to speak, for gorilla. Just a few breaths here. Releasing some back, giving your legs some relief from all that balance work. Go ahead and release your hands. Slowly roll up. One vertebrae at a time. Big stretch, arms overhead, and bring your arms back down to your side. We're going to come into a little bit of movement right now. So arms are going to come up overhead into mountain pose. Come on down to forward fold. Halfway lift to flat back. Step back into your downward facing dog. First downward facing dog of the day. Maybe not for some. Maybe you're doing a morning and a evening practice, which is awesome. lift our left leg up into the sky, stepping your foot through between your hands. Back foot is going to rotate flat. Arm is going to come to the thigh, extended side angle. You can always take your left hand to the floor, to a block, or leaving it on your thigh. Now we're going to spin forward, come up on those right toes. Hands come to prayer position just ever so slightly so we can come into our revolved side angle. So very similar to that twisting chair. Right elbow is hooked on the outside of your left knee. If this is too intense, you can lower your back leg and come down to the top of your foot. Good. Hands come down to the floor. Push back into your downward facing dog. Couple breaths here. Now look towards your hands. Step or walk your feet to your hands and rise all the way up to standing position. Good. We're going to do that on the other side. Arms come up, down to forward fold. Halfway lift to flat back. Step back, downward facing dog. Big breath in and out. Right leg lifts into the air, steps through to your hands. Extended side angle. Right elbow is on your right knee, palm is facing up. Shoulders are in alignment. Now spin your left toes up, or your left foot up into your toes. Left elbow is going to hook to the outside of your right knee for your twist. Revolved side angle. Go ahead and release. Hands come down to the ground, either side of your foot. Step back, downward facing dog. 1 or 2 breaths here. Look towards your hands. Step or walk to forward fold. Rise all the way up. And arms come by our side. We're going to do that one more time. Arms come up overhead. Swan dive down. Forward fold. Halfway lift. Flat back. Plant your hands. Step back. Downward facing dog. Couple breaths here. Left leg lifts into the air. Foot steps through in between your hands. Right heel falls down, left elbow to left knee, extended side angle. Go ahead and roll your extended leg onto your toes. Come up on those right toes. Right elbow hooks to the outside of your left knee. Your revolved side angle. Good. Hands release to the ground. Step back, downward facing dog. This time, Right leg comes up, steps through between your hands, left heel rolls down, extended side angle on the other side. As our hands come together in that prayer position, left toes come up, revolve side angle, hooking the left elbow to the left or right knee. Good. Hands come down either side of your front foot. Step back, downward facing dog. Gaze goes towards your hands. Forward fold. Rise all the way up. Mountain pose. We're going to do a couple more poses here. So arms up overhead, down to forward fold. Halfway lift to flat back, plant your hands, step back into downward facing dog. Now, you can choose to stay here. We're going to do a split variation in dolphin pose. You're going to soften your knees just a little, and dolphin, we're going to come down to our forearms. If this is too intense, just stay in your downward facing dog. We're going to lift our left leg for our splits. So whether you're in downward facing dog or dolphin, we're doing the splits with the left leg in the air. Go ahead and lower. Our right leg comes up. Good. If you're not in downward facing dog, go ahead and push back. Downward facing dog. Bring your knees to the ground. Out wide, big toes come together. We're going to take a child's pose here just a minute, because we're going to do that series one more time. So foreheads to the mat, knees are out wide, chest, belly fall heavy towards the mat. Good. Go ahead and rise up. Curl your toes under, push back, downward facing dog. Couple breaths here. Go ahead and soften your knees ever so slightly with a bend. Drop down to your forearms for your dolphin pose. Pausing here for just a breath until we take splits with the left leg kicking up into the air. And as that leg raises, right leg is pushing back with our heel dropping closer to the ground. Again, you can stay in downward facing dog and do these splits just as easily. Good. Go ahead and lower your leg down. Right leg up into the air. Dolphin splits on the other side. Good. Lower down. Lift back into downward facing dog. And knees to the earth. Out wide, big toes come together. Child's pose. Forehead rests on the ground, making room for your chest and your belly to fall towards the earth and just resting here a minute. Go ahead and come up to tabletop, hands and knees. We're going to thread the needle. Right arm is going to reach up towards the sky and then threads through the space of your left arm and left leg. So our knees are still bent. Feet are flat on the earth. But we're reaching and stretching, getting that nice stretch through our right shoulder. Go ahead and release your right arm. One more stretch up towards the sky. And hand comes down to the ground. Left side. Left arm reaches up. Nice little stretch before we bring it through the space between our right arm and right leg. Head comes down to the earth. We're about on our right forearm here. Knees are bent. Feet are still flat on the ground. Threading the needle on the other side, getting that nice stretch in the left shoulder. Good. Go ahead and press up back into tabletop just for a moment here. Squaring everything off a little bit before we curl our toes under, push back, downward facing dog. Couple breaths here. Look towards your hands. Walk or step your feet forward. Forward fold. And we rise all the way up and arms come down. Arms reach up to mountain pose. Forward fold. Halfway lift to flat back. Step back. Downward facing dog. From here, we're going to hinge forward into plank. Just going to pause here for a minute. We're going to drop our knees. We're going to come all the way down to the ground. We're going to come into locust pose. So head comes down to the ground. Our left cheek is on the floor. We're laying flat on our belly, on our legs. We're just gonna look towards our mat and lift our shoulders and our feet and our legs off the mat ever so slightly. Go ahead and release. Arms, head, feet, legs come back to your mat. Resting your right cheek on the mat this time. Now we're going to look at our mat again one more time, sort of face down. Arms are alongside. Fingers are bright and active, shooting down towards our feet, lifting up into locust one more time. Good. Go ahead and release. Take a few moments here to breathe. Left cheek is on our mat. We're going to do a half bow. We're going to reach for our our right hand is going to reach for our right leg. Left arm is just kind of hanging out on the side. You can reach out forward as well for half bow. If full bow is in your practice, the left hand can come back to the left leg, pushing back into full bow position. Good. Go ahead and release. Lower your head and chest down. Legs are released. Arms are released. Take a moment here. We're going to take that on the other side. So we're going to start by reaching your left hand back for your left leg. Lifting up with our chest for half bow on the left. And again, if full bow is in your practice, your right hand can come back to your right leg, taking your full bow. Good. Go ahead and release. Hands come near your shoulders. I'm just going to push back into a child's pose from here. Big toes come together, knees are out wide. Forehead to your mat. Releasing some of that back pressure here a minute. Good. Go ahead and come on up. Curl your toes under. Downward facing dog. 1 or 2 breaths here. Look towards your hands. Step or walk your feet forward. Forward fold. Rise all the way up and down, standing at attention. Arms reach up, mountain pose. Down, forward fold. Halfway lift to flat back. Step back, downward facing dog. From here, left leg is going to lift into the air. We're going to step through for pigeon on the left. So it's a nice bent left leg. Arms can be tall if you need to. You can come down to your forearms. You can use a block if you have one. You can take fists and stack your fists to hold your head up while you do your half pigeon here. This gets to be too much, you can back out of the pose a little bit, come up to tall arms if you need to. Good. Go ahead and curl your right toes under. Release your left leg. Push back. Downward facing dog. This time our right leg kicks up into the air, comes through, bent about a 45-degree angle for your pigeon on the other side. Again, you can stay up on tall arms, you can use a block, you can stack your fists and rest your head on your fists. Whatever is comfortable for you. One side, you may notice, is different than the other. What works on one side may not work on the other side. Go ahead and rise up to tall arms if you're not already. Curl your left toes under. Press back, downward facing dog. Go ahead and look towards your hands. Step or walk your feet forward, forward fold, and just come down onto your bum into a seated position. We're going to do a seated forward fold. Arms are going to reach up overhead. We're going to hinge at the waist, reaching towards our feet. Wherever the stretch takes you, listen to your body, listen to your hamstrings. If the back of your legs are screaming, back off a little bit in the pose. Soften your knees a little. Lift your back a little. Now we're going to take your left hand and we're going to walk our hands just over to the right a little bit, stretching a little deeper, all the while getting a stretch in our side body here as well. And go ahead and walk through to center with your hands, reaching your right towards the left side of your body, stretching out your other side. Good. Go ahead and bring your arms back to center. One last seated forward fold here. Go ahead and release. Come back to tall spine. Bend your knees as you lower your back down to the ground. For a brief, legs up the wall here. As promised, we're going to have another go at that bridge pose. So go ahead and lower your feet back down to the ground. Knees are bent. Arms can be outstretched towards your heels. Walk your heels just a little bit in towards your bum as you lift up into your bridge pose. Using your legs nice and strong, lifting, not clenching your butt here. We're using our legs for our strength, and release. Take a minute here to breathe. We're going to do that one more time. Heels scooch in ever so slightly towards your bum. Lift up into your bridge pose. Good. Go ahead and release. Lower your bum down to the ground. Soles of your feet come together. Knees fall out wide. Supta Baddha Konasana. One hand on your chest, one hand on your belly. Releasing that low back. Go ahead and bring your knees back together. Lift your legs up into the air. One more, legs up the wall. Feet are flexed, pointing towards the ceiling. Now take your hands and reach towards the outside of your feet. Bend your knees down, happy baby. Go ahead and stretch your left leg out to the side and your right. Do that a couple more times if you like. Come back into stillness when you're ready. Knees come back together. They're bent at a nice 90-degree angle. Go ahead and take your left hand to the outside of your right thigh and guide your legs as they fall down to the left side. Gaze looks out over your extended right arm for a supine twist. Getting a nice stretch through your side body. Go ahead and release. Guide your knees back to center. Staying at that 90-degree angle. Right hand comes to the outside of your left thighs, guiding your knees as they drop to the right. Gaze looks out over your extended left arm. Taking that stretch on the other side this time. Go ahead and bring your knees back to center. Hug it in one last time. Nice little popcorn ball. Gently rocking from side to side if you need one more back massage this evening. Then give yourself one great big squeeze and release. Extending out long. Legs are out long, arms come out heavy. We fall into the earth for our final resting pose in Shavasana. begin to bring awareness back into your body by gently wiggling your toes and your fingers. Then slowly roll out your ankles and your wrists, waking up once more. And when you're ready, roll over onto the right side of your body into a fetal position, pausing here. Reawakening a moment before you come up into a comfortable seated position. Go ahead and take your comfortable seat. Your eyes can remain closed. You may open your eyes if you wish. I want to thank all of you for joining me this evening, for setting aside time for your practice, for coming into the flow of your body, your movement, making this your own tonight through each pose and coming into this practice with me and sharing some time tonight. Thank you again from the bottom of my heart. I hope to see you again on another yoga session. Namaste. Have a great night, everyone. Thanks again.